Alrighty, let's see how this goes. What am I doing? Blue. That's right. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. All right, I can hear myself. Good. Step one. That is the first goal. Going live. So what is this title? Just need to do my pre-show stuff. Now I am going, now this is a Thursday, yes. You're not confused if you're like, wait a minute, I thought you do things on Friday. Well, I've got things on tomorrow, so I had to kind of decided that, yeah, to do it on Thursday night. Bring this up nice and close. And pop that in. All right, cool. All good to go. That is all good to go. Okay. I think we got that going. I've got that going. And if I jump over to, yep, I can see that. I can see this is going well. Good, good. And just need to start recording and that's it. Might actually start on time, which is not often. All right. So, okay. Put it on this one and hopefully the local recording works. Been having trouble with that. Seems to be having trouble with a lot of things. Stream dropping, APIs dropping. Well, there's no APIs today, thank goodness. Okay, well, let's get this party started. Hey, hi there. Ah, another Drupal adventure, eh? How we'll see. Oh, we'll see. All right. I think I'm good to go. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. So yeah, if you have your questions, just throw them in. Do my best to answer them. Let's have a bit of fun, shall we? Okay, so I'll pop that to the side. And how's my RAM usage going? I've had to keep a track of my RAM because I've been having RAM problems where things just start dying. In this day and age of 32 gig of RAM, still not enough. Very annoying. All right, let's jump to it. All right, things are recording. Yep, everything's going. All right, cool. Okay, just zoom this in a little bit more so I can actually see it. And I'm going to do a bit of coding as well today. Looking forward to it. Today's going to be a fun one. Today's going to be a fun one. Clear that. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so where are we? What are these conditional fields? Okay, cool. All right. All right. So I might as well just get right into it. So how do you conditionally, let me start again, that was a bit of a mouthful. How do you conditionally display fields in Drupal? Now, of course, you could just chuck in a bit of JavaScript and do a bit of jQuery. Remember jQuery? Even though, no, jQuery isn't a dependency. You can still use it in Drupal 11, but it's not a dependency. But let's go back to the original question. How do you add in conditional logic to fields in Drupal? Okay, that's the answer. That is a question I want to answer today. And we're going to look at a few ways of implementing custom logic in forms. Now, the best example that we're going to use for now is this example right here. So here I've got a project content type. So I'm using Drupal CMS and I'm just using the standard project recipe. And what I'm going to do is I've got this drop down called tech stack. And if you select Drupal, you select Drupal. If you select React, you select React. But if you select other, it should show or hide this other field depending on what's been selected from tech stack. So if I select other, it should show the other field. If I select React, it should hide it. Now, how would you implement this type of logic? Now, as I mentioned, yes, you can do it with JavaScript. You could probably do it with a bit of Ajax and a bit of form altering, but I'll show you one way how to do it using a module, and then we'll look at using ECA. Okay, and then we'll also look at implementing custom validation. So the first module, and this is the only module that we're going to be looking at. Oh no, we're going to be looking at ECA, but the first module that we're going to use is called Conditional Fields. This module allows you to add in the states on a field. Now, what is the states API? Well, the states API in Drupal is added to the form API. So when you implement your custom forms, if we take a look at a bit of code right here, we can see this form has been implemented using form API. And then if you go further down, you can see this states property. And here you can define the visibility of a form, and also if it's required, if it's disabled, if it's enabled. I believe you can even control if it's collapsed or not. And that is all defined by adding in a jQuery selector or just any type of selector. So you can do things such as make a form element visible depending on the value of another field. Now, you can implement this all yourself in code, or you can use something such as conditional fields. And we'll also look at how to implement these states using ECA. But let's take a look at conditional fields first. Now, I've used this module in the past a fair bit, and if you scroll all the way down, you will see that there's only an alpha available, but I believe it's been an alpha for a very long time. Because if we take a look at the site installs, let's open this up. You can see that it's kind of going well. A lot of Drupal modules with the usages are slowly decreasing, but you can see that, yeah, version 4 is pretty much used the most. And with 42,000 installs, yeah, you should be fine with the alpha version. You might have a few issues if you're dealing with like nested forms with paragraphs and things like that, but take a look at conditional fields first. So let's go ahead and download it. Now, luckily, I've already downloaded it using Composer, so I don't have to worry about that. But all we need to do now is install it. So let me go here and I will squash these tabs. Let's go to Extend and I'll search for conditional. If I can spell it correctly, conditional fields, and I'll click on Install. And I'll give that a moment. Then go to content types, so structure, content types, and click on manage fields. And you should see this manage dependencies in the tabs area. You can also access it if you click on the drop down, and you should see it here under manage dependencies. If for some reason you can't see it and you're certain you've installed the module, then clear the cache. Sometimes caching can just not work, especially if you have like some type of custom cache setup. Now, setting up these states is pretty simple. All you need to do is define your target field. So in this case, if we take a look at our form here, our target field is other. So this is just a standard text field. That is it. There's nothing special about it. So if I search for other, you can see right here, and the field is called field underscore tech underscore stack underscore other. So that's the target field. And then the controlled by should be the field where we are using the value to show or hide the tech stack other field. So in this case, it will be the select field, which is just tech stack. So here, I've got it here. So tech stack controls the target field, which is other. And then from the description dropdown, you can select if you want it to be visible, invisible, emptied, enabled, disabled, checked, unchecked, required, optional, so on and so forth. In this case, we want it to be visible and just leave it set to has value. But you can do things such as if it's filled, if it's touched, that's more for mobile, untouched, focus. Those are all those hover states. Then you have checked or unchecked. And once we've added that in, you can set your condition. You can also define your input mode. Now, this is a little advanced. So I would recommend that if you are using it for the first time, just stick with the simple things first. But you can put in regex. If you want, you can go in there and put in any type of epic type of regex. And from the insert value from widget, this is where you define what the value should be. And then click on other. So what we want is we want the condition, which is value. So the insert value from the widget needs to be other. And then you can define your dependencies, your interaction. So if it's a and, or XOR. And if you then go under form state, you can see visible and then just click on save. And that's it. All right, so we've got a question here. Can you make a video on how to use profiles in Drupal 10? Have a look in the live tab. There should be some video on user profiles or something. Have a look and see. I think I do have a video, like how we can create a starter kit and use it. Oh, those type of profiles. Oh, you mean installation profiles? Well, I think now, oh, sorry, I should have read the second comment. Well, no, you want to probably do, what is it? Recipes. I think recipes is where everything's going at these days. All right, once we've set everything up, if we go back to our form right here, straight away you'll see that other has disappeared. Okay, it's disappeared. If we select Drupal, nothing appears. If we select React, again, nothing appears. If we select other, then straight away we get the field. So what we can do, we can put in test project, and we can chuck in our value in there and click on save. And if we go back in there, we can see that our field has been saved. All right, there's another comment. Field states UI used to be a good alternative. Yeah, the problem with field states UI, I looked at that, but it doesn't. To get it working in Drupal 11, you had to patch it, which means you have to use a different composer repository, and that's just it's not the best experience when you're trying to show it online that you need to do all of these things. So I did have a look at field states UI, but it just wasn't easy to set up on a Drupal 11 or Drupal CMS site. And that's a problem. There are a lot of modules that I like to cover, but then they're just missing that one patch to get it working with Drupal 11, and it just hasn't been committed. And it just makes it a very hard process to to install those modules, because Composer complains that it's not available for Drupal 11. So you can't even patch it using Composer because the Composer won't install it. So you have to do some funny things with repositories and yeah, it's annoying. But maybe in the future I'll cover it. So at this point, we have added in visibility condition when you select other. Let's take things one step further and set it so that when other is shown, it's also required. Now setting it up is exactly the same way as setting it up. Setting up a field to be required is exactly the same way as setting it up to be displayed. So all we need to do is jump back into here. And again, select other, and which is controlled by text stack. It would be good if we could clone this anyway. Then under target field is then required, and then has value and so on and so forth. And everything else stays the same. So if we select other from text stack and scroll down, make sure required is selected and click on save settings. And now if we refresh, you can see that we do get a little asterisk there. And most importantly, we remove it, it is validated. So we do get a bit of client side validation. And then if we select React, for example, it then allows us to save the form. We select Drupal, again, it allows us to save the form as well. Now, when it comes to managing these states, if you don't want to write custom code, Conditional Fields does a pretty good job. And you do have a lot of options, but I do recommend that you just spend a bit of time getting your head around it, because it may work for 80 to 90 to say 95% of the use cases, but you might find one particular use case, especially with like nested forms where you have, say, an inline entity form or say a paragraph and it's nested. It may not work out of the box, essentially. I'm sure I could, if I went into the issue queue, I could find something where somebody was saying, with this particular workflow or like these nested fields, so on and so forth, it's not working. So just be aware of that. But it does a pretty good job of it. It does a pretty good job. And just as things were mentioned in the comments, there is, what is it? Field states UI? Yeah. Yes, this one, the field states UI. And when I installed this module, Composer didn't let me install it because it needs to be updated for Drupal 11, because I was just getting dependency errors. So I guess once this patch is in there, you should be able to install it. But I can see here, version 3 has been released, and that's 2023. All right, so it's been a while since it's been released. So you do have this option if you're on Drupal 10, or if you can just patch it yourself. So you do have options. Now let's take a look at the States API in more detail. And the best way of doing that is honestly just to write custom code, okay? So what we're going to do now is we are going to jump over to PHP Storm and do a bit of coding. It's been a while since I've done this. Been a while. All right. So what I want to do is create a module and also just create a basic controller and just show you using a basic form how the states work. So to begin with, I'm going to type in ddev. That's because I'm using ddev as my local environment. And I'm going to use Drush to generate a module. Now, you might be thinking, why don't you just use AI? Honestly, when it comes to these scaffolding things, it's just easier to use a command. And also, I know I'm guaranteed code that works. So let's go ahead and generate a module. So this module name will be form. Oh no, sorry. Used for forms. You need a description. Leave everything as it is, no dependencies. Would you like to create a module file? Yes, I will, because I will need that for later. And no, don't want to install. And we've got that, okay? Cool. So if we come along in here, modules, and then our form, www form, we've got a basic module. Great. Now what we need to do is simply install it. Because when we generate the form, the module needs to be installed. Let's go ahead and install it and give it a moment. All right, it's installed. Perfect. I'll just clear that so it's right at the top. Now let's go ahead and create a form. Luckily for us, Drush generate allows us to easily create a controller with, well, no, sorry, it's not a controller. I should take that back. It is technically a form with a route. So Drupal allows you to create a form class, a class essentially, and then you can define a route using the route YAML file. So to do that, let's go back, and just type in form. That's it. Generate form. Now, if we go grep form, let's have a look and see. We do have a few of them. So yeah, form simple is the easiest. You can even define your formatter, form, confirm. Then you have form config. But we just want form. We just want a nice simple form. Because yeah, forms can get a bit full on. So let's go ahead and generate it. Now, when you define your module machine name, this is a autocomplete field. Make sure you install your module because your module will not appear if it's not installed on your Drupal site. So you could have, and this has caught me off so many times, especially in a live stream once. I actually generated the module and then I got to this point and I just went blank. And I'm like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Because you know, sometimes you have like such tunnel vision. And normally when something doesn't quite work, especially when you're presenting, you kind of get nervous and you're like, oh, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And you kind of have tunnel vision. Whereas if you were to just do it yourself without filming, you would just figure it out and be like, oh yeah, I know what the problem is. But again, make sure you install the module. And we're just going to give it a class of example form. We're just going to keep this all the same. And this is important. Yes. Would you like a route? Yes, we do. Let's put the route in. So it'll be form / example. And just do all that stuff. Okay. And last but not least, make sure you clear the cache. All right. So let me copy that, jump over, close this, open up a new tab. And if we go to, not that, why isn't that copying? Oh, that's right, because I'm in the wrong editor. Let me copy that again. All right. And here we have our basic form. That's all what it is. It's a very basic form. Remember, the command is called form simple, okay? It's very basic. So what we can do now is, let's jump over and have a look at it. Let me close this. Go to source. So what you can do is click on routing, and you can see here the route, the title, and also the permission, which is to access it. And then if you click on this, now I'm using PHP Storm with a few extensions. So one of them is a Symfony plugin, I believe. And so with the Symfony plugin, I can just click on command and then go directly to the class. And here you can see that this is just a standard class, and this is where the magic happens. All right, so what we're going to do is let's create our first dropdown. So I'm going to pretty much implement the same select field and also import field. So if we type in form, and I'll call this one, what are we going to call it? Tech stack. Okay. And we're going to then, let's give it a type of, well, I'll take that just so I don't have to type it, but it's going to be a select. There we go. And we're going to give it a title of tech stack. Beautiful. And we're going to give it options. And the next set of options will be, let's do Drupal. Oh, look at that. No, not quite. Let's do React. There we go. And finally, other. There we go. So this should just be a basic select drop down. So if I come along in here, refresh, we've got a drop down, okay? Simple. What we can also do is force an empty value, which will be, no, not that one. It'll be, well, need to fix that up. Well, let's make it select dash select. And next is, let's also, what is it? Make it required. Make it required. Okay, perfect. Jump back here. And, hey, all right, something's broken. Let's jump back here. It's always fun to see what is up. Chances are it is the empty, not value. Oh, see, this is where autocomplete doesn't quite work. Empty option. There we go. All right, there we go. It's all working. Nice. Okay. Now, the next field we need to set up is our form. What is this one called? Tech stack other. And this will be type. Well, I'll take that, but I'll call this one, what is it, text field? No, not text area, text field. And finally, call it title. There we go, that's fine. Well, no, let's change it to other. Okay. All right, there we go. So now that we have everything set up, what I want to implement is if we select other, then the other field is shown and also made required. So what we can do is let's jump back in here. And this time, okay, we're going to pretty much implement the same bit of code, the same bit of functionality that we implemented using conditional fields, but with actual code. So let's put in the states. So what we can do is put in a property, states, visibility. So, sorry, we want it to be visible. And there you go. It's pretty much figuring it out for us. We need to put in a selector. So here we define an actual selector. So this will be a jQuery selector. And the name, so remember, I had to look this up today. So I have to be, my jQuery is a little rusty. But I was like, wait a minute, what is the difference between select and imports? Yes, imports. So import. :import is a pseudo selector, meaning that it will find any of the common import types, which could be select, select, checkbox, perhaps. Is that one of them? Import and so on and so forth. So we'll just keep it as that. And then the name has to be tech stack, which is referring to this one. And then the value needs to be other. So we just need to change this to other. So we come here, refresh, and now we get other shown. And it's that easy. It is that easy. And you can inspect the field and you should see the logic added right here. So sometimes if things aren't working quite as they should, have a look and see, and you could actually do some URL, decoding perhaps, and just clean this up and see what type of JSON gets outputted, because essentially this data Drupal states is pretty much this array right here. So that's implemented the same way. All right, so that's controlling the visibility. Let's now add in the required step. So to do that, we need to pretty much just copy this. Let's save ourselves. And set this to required. That's it. Come back here, refresh. Let's close this. Select other. Now it is required. And that's it. So if you do have custom forms and you want to add in this bit of extra logic, you can easily do that just by using the states API. And now let's take things one step further, because I actually had this exact issue just recently, and I thought to myself, you know what, I want to cover this. So right now, if we can add in multiple values. So we could say, well, I want to have, well, let's change this one to say tech stack 2, for example, okay? If we had multiple values here for the input, this means that both tech stack and tech stack 2, the values need to match for this field to appear. So the operator between these two values for visible is an AND operator. So tech stack and tech stack 2 needs to return true for it to display. But what if you want to control the visibility of a field where you have two fields, but you want the field to be visible only if one of them is actually selected. Okay, so what I want to do is add in an extra checkbox. So let's do that. Oh, I just saw I got a super in YouTube. Well, thank you very much. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah, thank you, thank you. Oh, another one. Oh, cool. Thanks, guys. Haha, awesome. Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It does feel good getting those little super comments. Because it's good to see that people actually come along and watch my and watch these videos, and the fact that, yeah, you guys giving those giving those comments as well. No, it feels good. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's now put in another checkbox. Well, let's put in a checkbox. So what I'll do is I'll call this one, where is it? Form, come on, PHP Storm, whatever you're called. What do you call it? Juno or something? No, AI Assist. It's actually, the AI assistant in PHP Storm isn't that bad because I feel like it's not as intrusive as the other ones. Cool. All right. So show other, and this will be equals. Oh, there we go. That's what I want. Checkbox. Cool. And the title, show other. Oh, that's enough. All right. Cool. So let's come back here, and we've got a checkbox. Okay. So all we need to do is come back in here, and we can copy this value, but instead of, well, we need to change the name first to show other, and this needs to be checked and true. So we'll set that to true. Because it is a checkbox, we can't use the value like we do for select. We need to use checked. Okay, so that's all done. So everything is looking good. So now what's going to happen is both other needs to be selected, and that is not quite working. Let's just refresh that. Why is that not working? It's do that. That is true. Checked. So if show other, let's double refresh. Oh, okay, had to refresh it twice. Okay, so if we select other, you'll notice that it's not appearing. If we also then check show other, then it's appearing. If we select React and have show other checked, it's not appearing because the operator, and this is important, because both of these values need to return true. So that's important. Now, what if you want a situation, what if you want things set up in a way where you want the other field to appear if show other is checked or the actual other from the dropdown is checked? Well, to achieve that, all you need to do is wrap these in separate arrays. So we'll just go in there and do that. So I'll just bring this down a little bit so it's a little easier to understand. And like this. And now what you're going to have is the condition between this and this is now an OR operator. So you can actually put in multiple conditions like so. Of course, that's going to break. But now what's going to happen is if we come along in here and refresh, I'll refresh a few times. If we select other, it's going to appear. If we select other from the dropdown, it's going to appear as well. So the operator is if other is selected or show other, it will display it. And you can do the same for required as well. You can just wrap them with extra arrays and you are done. So that's just a quick little how-to on how to use the States API. Now, the States API is used in a lot of places. It's used in, well, Webform uses it for a lot of its, for all of its dynamic logic. And with Webform, just a bit of a heads up, because when you use the UI for managing the conditional logic for Webform, you can only set up conditions where it's a single, where it's pretty much this, where it's a condition like this. If you want to set up a condition where you have an OR operator, then you need to switch over to, I think, the actual YAML configuration and then add it in yourself. So it's still possible, but to handle custom conditional logic in Webform, you need to modify the YAML file directly. Whereas to add in pretty basic conditional logic, even though it is still pretty powerful, you can do it from the UI. So just a bit of a heads up on that when you're using it with Webform. So States API is great for hiding and showing fields. The next thing I want to show you is adding in custom validation, because that is another requirement that we often get. We need a way of handling custom validation on a form, and you often work with businesses where they have very specific business logic that needs to be implemented. So to implement our custom validation, what we're going to do is let's jump back to our project content type. And what I want to do is make sure that when somebody adds in a string in the other field, that they have to type in AWS. So let's just imagine we have that requirement. I don't know why, but I don't know, maybe you work for Amazon or something, and they want to force you to type in AWS. Let's implement that type of logic. Now, before we jump into things, let's just remove these conditions. And I'll remove this condition as well. And let's jump over to this page, because what we're going to do is we're going to implement a constraint. Now, a constraint is a class essentially. Well, it consists of two classes. So you have the constraint and then you have the validator, which utilizes that constraint. And a constraint is just you can see here, it is a Symfony, it's part of a Symfony component for managing validation as well. So here in this example, we have a constraint, which is called unique integer. Then you have the validator, which then uses the constraints. And so this is where the magic happens of trying to validate things. And luckily for us, we can use Drush to generate the code for us. But then the final step is we need to add it to our field. And there's a few ways of doing it here from this documentation page. You can see all the methods. essentially what we need to do is add it to a custom field. So it'll be this method 3. So adding a constraint to a bundle field of an entity type not defined by your module, essentially. So you just add it in that way. But don't worry, I'll take you through it. And again, we're going to be jumping into a bit of code. So the first thing we need to do, so let me just close all of this, open up our terminal and clear it, is we need to generate the constraint. So let's type in Drush generate constraint. And what I'll do is the module name, again, enter in the module name, make sure your module's installed. And the label will be other AWS. And the plugin ID, you can change the plugin ID, but let's just leave it as it is. The class here, we'll just leave the class as it is. And this is, and here we need to select how the data is going to be passed. So I will select 3, which is item list. So just imagine you're on a field and you might have a multi-value field or something like that. You get a list of all of the values from the field. So I'll select 3. And if you want dependency injection, we don't want it. And here you can see that our constraint and our validator has been set up. So if we come into here, we've got plugins, and then we have our constraint, and we have our validator. Now, something to be aware of is that Drupal does handle the connection between the constraint and the validator, because you'll see that we do have other AWS constraint, and then you have this class which just has a suffix of validator at the end. So Drupal handles that connection. I actually double checked and asked AI, like, can you show me, can you check the code and tell me how does it actually link? Because often, you might actually link it this way and he kind of figures it out. And I'm like, well, where does it actually define it? But yeah, that's what it does. All right. So first, what we need to do is put in our message. So this will be our message right here. So let's update this to be, you must enter AWS into the other field. That's the first. And if we come back here, let's remove this. Let's change this value. So pretty much our field value will be passed in as items, and then it just loops through. And let's change this value to AWS, and we'll make it so it's not equals. So if the value is not AWS, then it's going to throw up an error. And what I'll do is, well, let's just leave this as it is. And we're not done yet, because at this point, we need to now integrate it with our field. So we need to open up our form, web form module, and we need to, like the good old days, implement a custom hook. Haven't done this for a while. So that will be field, what is it? Form, entity, bundle, field, info, alter. That's a nice name. There you go. So that's been implemented. Okay, cool. And what we need to do, well, I'll just grab this. Don't want to type all this stuff out. But all we need to do is put in an if statement, which is if the entity type ID is node, bundle project, and we have this field. So make sure the field name matches the actual field name that you've created. It'll then attach this constraint to the field. Make sure this plugin ID matches the plugin ID right here. So that has to match. Okay. So we're going to jump over here. Let's refresh. I will discard this and I will clear the cache as well. Let's clear it. Let's refresh. And you can see here that we have our other field. Well, actually, let's add that back in. Should have added that back in. Let's add this back in quickly. No, what is it? Tech is visible as a value of other. As a value of other. Oh, okay. So now, because I was hoping to be able to show you that error, let's just fix this up. Let's just clear this. Clear the cache. There is an actual error that I do want to show you. Why is that not saving? Let's go back here. Oh, okay, it's already been created. Let's add in this one again and tech. This one's required. And refresh. As well. Oh, that's okay. Now I know why it wasn't saving. That's my fault. See, this button confuses me. Oh, I'm terrible. I was clicking on the wrong button. See, sometimes it's save up the top there and there's a save button down there. Okay. User error, user error. Okay, let's go back here. So text save, controlled by, value. All right, cool. So now let's go back here. And if we select React, no, that's not correct. Let's fix this up once and for all. Save. And then save settings. Okay. All right. Now we are ready to go. All right. We have, oh, hello from Brazil. Well, hello. How you doing, Fernando? You're watching on LinkedIn. Well, that's good. It's good to see people are watching on LinkedIn. All right, let me just double check that one last time because I was clicking on the wrong save button. So again, value, tech stack other, save, required, tech stack other. So, okay, save settings. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Come along in here, select React, select other, and okay, all right, now good to go. All right, perfect. Let's go back here. Let's add this back in, clear the cache. We're getting there, we're getting there. This is the joys of development. And now, if I come along in here, hit save, and we're going to get an error. Okay, so one thing to be aware of is that this app path may need to be adjusted. So what I'll do is let me switch on Xdebug, just so I can demonstrate things. All right, cool, Xdebug's enabled. Go back to PHP Storm, switch on the listener, and I switch on the debug. Okay. Because if we come along in here, put a breakpoint, refresh. There we go. All right, this has been triggered. So now if we come along in here, you can see that delta is 0. That's why it's complaining about it. But this app path needs to be the name of the field. So if we hover over, say, items, you can see that we have under items, it is name. So we need this tech field. So all we need to do, let's turn that off. All we need to do now, hopefully, is add in item. So that'll be item, get parent, and it'll then be get name. Come back here, refresh. Is it going to complain? There we go. Okay, so we'll get one error. So you must enter AWS. So if I enter AWS, it saves it. I'll come back in here and enter something else in. It's going to complain. And there you go. So if you have to handle custom business logic, then look at using a constraint. Now, my understanding of constraints is that the reason, the one of the major reasons for them, and one of the major reasons why Symfony uses them as well, is that you may have certain validation that you want applied to entities when you are posting stuff through an API. So you may want to have some type of validation there. And that's why it's good to kind of load up all of these constraints and modify them, and check and see if they're all past validation. And that's the whole premise behind it. But yeah, setting up validation is just a pain, really. Forms. Every site, sites haven't changed, and I've mentioned this so many times before, that the concept of a website hasn't changed. It is literally just a bunch of forms and a listing of objects, and that's it. But yet, how we build them has changed tenfold. How we build things in the last 10 years has changed. But at the end of the day, it's just a table or a listing of objects and a bunch of forms and a carousel. People love carousels, and whatever you can think of on top of that. There's always stuff there. So if you need to add in custom validation, take a look at constraints. There are other options you can do, like with web form, you could, with web form, yes. There's multiple ways of doing it through web form. Maybe I can do that as a separate video. I think we're due for another decent web form. I do like the web form module. But as you've seen, we've been using conditional fields to handle the states on this text stack and the other field. Let's now use ECA to handle it, because believe it or not, you can use ECA, which is event, condition, and action module, which allows you to create rules in Drupal. And ECA comes installed with Drupal CMS. And if you're using Drupal core, well, you can just install it yourself. It's actually pretty straightforward. So before we do that, let's go ahead and delete things. So let's delete that field and, sorry, that condition. And I'll also, let me just close this. Where's the debugger? Bugger off, debugger. There we go. Let's comment that out just in case we break things. And let's also turn off Xdebug, because it does slow things down. Haha, nice comment. We all like web form. Wait, oh, sorry. Was it web form or webworm? By webworm, I assume you mean web form? Yeah, I like web form. Yeah, it is a good module. It is a very powerful module. All right, so we've got Xdebug off. As I mentioned, if you don't need it, turn it off, because it does slow things down, because he uses a different compiled version of PHP. Okay, so let's just get rid of that. Oh, and clear the cache. All right, get in there, get in there. Cool. So, I say meant web form. Okay, yeah, I thought so. That's all right. That's all right. Trust me, if you've watched any of my live streams, you can see that I cannot spell. I'm a terrible speller. I'm just so happy I live in the world of AI. I actually use a lot of the dictation tools with like, voice to text. Damn, autocomplete. That's it. Yep, autocomplete. All right, so ECA. Let me just bring it up. Well, let me use this thing. So for people who don't know, what is ECA? What is ECA? Well, ECA stands for Event Condition Action. It is a way of just defining logic in Drupal. So you can do things like when a content is updated on that event, you can modify a bunch of stuff. And what you can do is when a form is loaded up, you can add in custom states. Now, ECA is it's a complex module. It takes a bit of getting used to, especially the UI. I feel like I always just scratch the surface, and I've used it a fair bit, but I feel like there's always there's always new things to learn about. So I'm pretty happy when I discovered that you can control states. And there is the documentation. Where's the guide? Is it here? Yes. So if you go to the guide, you will see plugins. Yeah, here you go. You can see all of the available plugins, and then you have form. You can see the events, and then the actions, and then also you have conditions. But the actions is where the magic really happens. And in our case, we're going to be using the add state. And so all we need to do is on the event, which is build form, we're going to add in a condition. Sorry, no. We're going to add in an action, which is add state. Okay, so let's do that now. And it's actually relatively simple. So let's make sure none of the conditions are working. Good, good, good. Okay, perfect. So let's go to configuration, workflow, and ECA. Now, as I mentioned, ECA comes installed with Drupal CMS. So if you're using Drupal CMS, you're using ECA already. And you can see here, it actually powers a lot of stuff. And believe it or not, this I did not know until I started using Drupal CMS. The duplicate functionality is actually powered by ECA. I thought it was a module, to be honest, but I didn't know you could actually do that with the module. So if you want to learn how to do a whole bunch of stuff, here you can see that it's pretty complex stuff. It's actually, you're actually defining custom values in here. It's doing a lot of things. It's doing a lot of things, actually. All right, so let's go ahead and add in a new model. I'll call this model other project. And what we essentially need to do is add in a event first, okay? So I'll call this one build form. And I'll also then click on select from template. And let's search for build form. So that'll be, yes, it will be build form. And I can see that my head is in the way. So let me switch over to the other side. And if let me just probably zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Easier to see. Then under, where is it? Under restrictions, we have node and bundle, which will be project in this case. Yes, I do like that. Yes. ECA tutorial would be great. Yeah, it would be. I mean, but I'm just kind of learning it bit by bit as I go. All right, so there's another comment here. I'm new to Drupal, learning daily. Any tutorials on sub-theming from Olivero as a base theme? I do have videos on theming, maybe not that particular theme. Have a look under the live tab and just search for theming and templating and see. It's been a while since I've covered sub-theming. No, I think I have covered it, but that was more around a bootstrap theme. All right, so let's save this. And what I want to do is first of all, make sure that the event is firing off, because I've been in situations where I've spent an hour setting up a whole model and then realized that the actual event wasn't firing off to begin with. So what I like to do is always just to make sure that the event is getting fired off. So I like to just chuck in a message, which can be build form. And this message should only appear if we're on the project content type. If we come along in here and go to basic page, we see nothing. If we go to document, again, we're going to see nothing. But if we go to project, we should see build form. Okay, at least we know now the event is working. That's step one. All right, so we can close all that. Let's delete this one. And what we can do now is put in our actual action. So there's multiple ways of of adding in an action, what you can do is just click on the event and click on the action button. You can click and drag it and then link it up. That's another way, but it's just easy to click on that and then you click on it that way. And then under general, you can add viz state and let's close that. Select again, select the template, and we should search for, what is it? Add state. There you go. You can see here, add state, and that's under ECA form. If you click on this little button here, it will take you, to the actual documentation. Add state. And all we need to do is put in our field, which is field tech stack other. So remember, in that case, in this case, it will be, where is it? Tech stack other, which is this value right here. Then with the selector, again, you can add in a normal input, but in this case, let's just add in select, then name, and this will be field tech stack. And so this field name needs to match, where is it? Tech stack right here. Okay, it needs to match that. And then under state, you want to select visible. Again, you can select required, you can select whatever you want. And the value then should be right at the bottom, should be other. And let's click on save. And if we go to project, click on Drupal, React, nothing. If we click on other, we should see the other field. Okay, exactly the same way as using conditional fields. Let's go back and let's add in the required state. So what we can do is you can actually copy and paste these. Actually makes life a lot easier. So what you can do is just paste it, paste it, link them up. Let's change this to require. And all you need to do then is state to, where is it? Required. That's it. Hit save and you're done. Come back here. And if we select other, it's now required. So we're able to add in these two states without writing any custom code. That is pretty powerful. I must admit, that is pretty cool because that just shows what you can do with ECA. Every time I use it, there's always something new comes up. Something new comes up. If you take a look at these, with this ECA form module, make sure that's installed. I do believe that comes with the, well, does it come with it? Let's have a quick look. Let's go to extend, type in ECA, form. So you can see here that there's a lot of modules. And that's kind of the hard part, is trying to figure out exactly which module to use and which queue that is all part of. But there's a lot of cool stuff here. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. So if you do want to add in states and you want to control things, then take a look at using ECA for it, because it gets exported out as config, and you can even export it out as a recipe as well, if you want. So you can do a lot of things. You can even export it out as CSV so you can see what it looks like. And there you go. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's just quickly go through it. So if you want to add in conditional logic, you can use the Conditional Fields module. That is one way of doing it. Or you can write custom code and just do it yourself like we did. And you can actually write a lot of this stuff. You could actually do a form alter and manage it through code yourself. And there's also, should have mentioned this, where is it? Oh, let's go in this one. If you do want to implement this type of functionality, there is the select or other module. So you can use that module for it. All right, we've got another comment here. Thank you. Yeah, we love using Drupal and your channel. Oh, thanks a lot. Well, it's good that you guys love to use channel. Oh, I'm wondering, I'm wondering why I was never live. It's at 5 p.m. Brisbane time. Oh, okay. So you're okay. So Brisbane. Yes. Well, I no longer live in Australia, so that's why it's a bit different for me. Yes, 5 a.m. Brisbane time. Well, is it that time in? Well, there you go. So yeah, as I mentioned, if you do want to use this type of functionality where you can select an other field and then it shows an actual other field. Yeah. So if you do want to select other, then it shows another field. That's a bit of a mouthful. Then take a look at this module. And then we took a look at what is it? Yeah, setting up constraints and also ECA using conditional logic. What? And then we took a look at using ECA to set up the forms because yeah, there's a lot you can do with ECA. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal and other CMSs, head over to webwatch.net and also check out the other live streams that we have. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. And if you have any ideas for other future streams, I need to think of next week's. Normally I'm like a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead, but I haven't thought of next week because I'm actually one day early. Normally I'm doing these on Fridays, but I've got something on tomorrow. But I like to keep to a weekly cadence. Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, that was fun. All right, I'm cooking dinner. Well, that's good. Well, for me, I've already had dinner. It's like what 9? It's just past 9:30 for me. Ooh, maybe I should have covered this module. Anyway, maybe I should have covered it. Let's switch back transition. There we go. Oh, cool. Yes, you have a good day. Well, for me, it's a good night. Hey, thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for everyone who joined. It was fun. Bit of comments. I like a bit of comments. It was fun. I do kind of stick around after the fact, so. Stop recording that one. And last but not least, let's see if this actually. Oh, okay, cool. Camtasia actually saved properly. That's good to know. Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining. I might do a short little video on this. Nice little short one. Yeah, this ECA stuff's pretty cool. Pretty cool what you can do. Anyway, well, thank you all for joining. I'll catch you all. Oh, where are you based? Well, no. I'm no longer in Sydney. I'm actually in Europe now, in Croatia. I'm living overseas on the other side. Do I have an X account? Yes, I do. Just search for my name, or there is a WebWash account as well. Got a WebWash account on X. If you click on the video, if you expand the video description, you will see a bunch of accounts down at the bottom. Yeah, so I'm actually in Croatia. Yeah. So a bit different for me, bit of a different time zone. It's a night time for me, but yeah, it's nice and early. Australia time, well, East Coast time. Oh, but no, Brisbane doesn't have daylight savings. That's correct, yeah. Whereas Melbourne, wait, no, sorry, it's my summer. It's your winter, yeah. So no, the whole of East Coast is on the same time zone now. That's right. I still work with people in Australia, so it gets a bit funny with time zones, especially Australian summer and European winter. It gets pretty brutal because at one point it's like 11-hour difference. Whereas now it's the best time because it's like only 8-hour difference. All right. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for joining all. I'll catch you all next week. Cool. See you later.